Hey everyone, this is Dimitro, and today I'm really happy to be joined by Elizabeth Green from Jungler, who is a very experienced Amazon advertiser, and she appeared on lots and lots of different podcasts. Also, she's known as the bulk files queen. So, hey Elizabeth, how are you doing? And maybe please give us a little bit of an introduction about you, about how you got into Amazon ads for someone who don't know
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Question. So I'll try to make it short. It could be long, could be short.
It's okay.
Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so my name is Elizabeth Green. I own and operate an Amazon advertising agency, hence me being super deep into the ads. And also, for those of you savvy out there, bulk files, it's a way to essentially manage your ads at scale with spreadsheets. So it's definitely something that caused me to fall in love with spreadsheets and all the things you can do with them. Short story how we got into it. Used to be sellers, not big time, small time, which led us into the Amazon community. And I always tell everyone, until you kind of like step through the door and realize that there's people behind all of the products that are offered on Amazon, it's hard to imagine how big this world is. And then you get into it, you're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. There's a lot of other people in here. And then I started coming up, think back like right before all the targeting targets got split out in the autos. Everyone was still asking the question, should I run ads, and dabbling in it. And then that quickly became, how do I run ads? I need to run ads. This isn't a necessity. So got into it at a good time. Again, just helping out, starting in the Facebook groups. I've since moved on to more LinkedIn content there. Just helping people out. That led to clients, which led to more clients, which led to podcasts, which led to just a lot of other things. And so I'm kind of still surprised where I'm at, but totally happy to be here.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the introduction, and I'll definitely leave your LinkedIn in the
Mm.
description. That's where I hang out a lot, and you're definitely one of the most resourceful people in the Amazon space when it comes to Amazon ads. And yeah, you're constantly dropping some great tips on LinkedIn. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone make sure to follow Elizabeth over there. So okay, yeah, we already touched on the bulk files topic, so I'm really wondering, uh, how are you managing your bids these days? Because, AI is a hot topic right now, and I've been in Amazon space myself since about 2017, and even back then, there were like the softwares that
Mm-hmm.
claim to be AI. A lot of them are gone now, some new appear. So yeah, like how do you approach your bid management? Bulk file, software, something else?
I would say it's kind of a hybrid at this point. It definitely got started in the bulk files. So it's internal management at the moment. There's some software I've looked at. We've tested a couple things. So in the beginning, to be perfectly honest, it was because I was almost functioning like a freelancer. Tool costs were very expensive. I could get the results on my own. And so therefore I just kind of stuck with that. And then that slowly morphed and changed. So our bid algorithm is built off of doing certain optimizations, going, okay, that wasn't exactly the results that I wanted. So, what was the specific scenario, and which results would I have wanted to get, and how do I navigate what changes I did, what kind of, how do I course correct for that? So, with a whole bunch, like it's what at this point 4 to 5 years of different course corrections and adjustments. And the thing that I love about being able to layer it, and again in the beginning off of bulk files, we've since worked, we're working on maybe scaling our systems a little bit more, so we now have an in-house developer, and we're kind of slowly moving in that direction. This has been kind of a dream of mine for a while. No plans on if I'll really ever make that public. I've had people ask, not because I don't want to share it, because it's just a lot of freaking work to make something public. It's a lot easier to do things internally, at the very least at first. So that's kind of how I got started. And then by the time I looked up and went, okay, maybe let me go find a software out there, because I can just plug my rules into their system and just have the system automate it for me. I had gotten so knee deep in tweaks and adjustments, and we are getting absolutely stellar results with what we're doing. I can't find the perfect system. Let's put it that way. I have nothing against automation. I know some really great people who use automation and, bid management systems and other, things. That being said, again, it's maybe a control thing. It's also, again, just not being able to completely plug in my systems. So I would essentially have to work off of someone else's system and give up certain things. And I'm like, well, if we're getting the results, our team knows how to use the system. At this point, I think I'm just going to stick with what we got.
Yeah, for sure. Having, good systems with Amazon PPC, it's very important, and it's hard. Like when you have a certain software, you need a system for that. When you manage with bulk files, you need a system for that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a tricky thing, and both can work, but like you gotta know what you're doing, even with the software. You have to be in control, know what's
Mhm.
going on with the account, what are the goals, what the software is doing. So it's manageable, but yeah, it's when you dig into those like little details, as you mentioned, and yeah, having your own developer is also great. That's something I'm looking into right now because, yeah, some things like some problems we ran into, there is really no solution on the market. So, like,
Mhm.
you have to come up with your own things.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So another question I have, like, we've been bombarded with so many new features from Amazon ads this year and like even before. So like what's your recent feature that you really find useful and like using at all? Because, a lot of it can be just like noise. People
Yes.
get excited and like, LinkedIn about the many features. So like, is there anything specific from the new features?
So I'll probably share some of my favorite features, and then I probably should share two updates that you should be aware of that are like terrible feature updates. So, but I think some of my favorite features are definitely I love the new products tab. I find that very useful. Now, as someone who manages clothing brands, I really wish if they would, I don't think they ever will, but allow us to roll it up to a parent ASIN instead of a child ASIN. That would be like top notch. So Amazon, if you're listening, please. I do really like the bulk file updates, and that wasn't a super recent feature, but Amazon rolled out. I want to say it was like late last year when they started with the updates, or sometime mid last year. So it's been a hot minute since they did a complete update to their bulk file format. So now if you go in there, there's actually two separate formats. Things I like about that is there are features that we had been talking about for a very long time and wanting that they since rolled out into that. And actually, the development team on the bulk file side is quite active. They're actually reaching out to a lot of people who are actively using their bulk files and like requesting, like, oh, what do you guys think? And then actively rolling out those features. So I do find that very refreshing. Things like renaming campaigns. There was never a really great scalable solution to do that. And now bulk files is probably the most scalable way to be able to do that. So that's very nice. Being able, I still think, despite whatever platform you're using, unless you have some sort of automated campaign launcher, they still hold that bulk files is probably the most scalable way to launch a whole bunch of new campaigns, regardless of what tools you're using. And so they rolled out new features to allow us to launch sponsored display ads as well, which that's been super useful. So a lot of great features in that. And again, the interface, there's been some weird updates to it. I mean, ones that are like, oh, okay. I think definitely they're rolling out of, again, like I said, product The targeting tab has always been there for a while. I still use that. I find that insanely valuable. That's not a super recent feature, but definitely one that I would say was one of my favorite feature updates. Now, things that I'm not 100% thrilled about with their updates are this seemingly like interesting update to how their match types function. They've done that on more than one occasion. So they did update the sponsored product ads to have exact and then also expanded targeting, which I do find interesting. And fun fact, if you're launching a sponsored product targeting campaign, the default is going to give you expanded targeting. But if you're used to how product targeting used to work before, that's the exact targeting, but like the default's the other one, which means that one just has a tendency to like branch out more and find additional product targets, which can be good, but also potentially increase spend. So unfortunately, some of the updates I'm seeing are kind of on this trend of like, the cynic in me says sneakily increasing ad spend for those people who are not aware. I don't want to put that on the ad team, but like at the same time, I'm like, really? So the other one that they had that absolutely drove most of us up in arms was the changing of broad match and sponsored product ads to function the way that we knew it always functioned in sponsored brand ads. So if you're unaware, sponsored brand broad match targeting would, not only is it the typical targeting we know inside of sponsored product ads, but it would essentially go out and find what Amazon deems as related searches, meaning if you were targeting running shoes, it could potentially target sneakers or something because the algorithm deems that those two are related, which is interesting and they're touting it as it will find you additional search terms, but consequently with that you can end up targeting a whole bunch of irrelevant traffic, which again increases ad spend and then doesn't necessarily increase like your performance metrics. That was rolled out to also function that way in sponsored product ads. They didn't send us an email update. Nobody notified us about it. All that happened was one day someone was looking at a search term report and went, what the heck, that's not supposed to happen. So we all like the community absolutely exploded and everybody's trying to figure it out, and even Amazon wouldn't give us a direct update. And then now if you go and look at their literature, they just changed their what would you say, like their informational page. So now it's like, okay, so all they did was change the informational page. The other thing that happened is in sponsored brand ads, exact match targeting now targets or will trigger related searches, which you're thinking exact match targeting where you're getting super specific, not anymore, not now in sponsored brand ads. And again, the only reason we found it was because someone went into a search report and went, what the heck? And then we went and searched Amazon's informational pages and went, wait, they changed the description here. Again, no notifications, no email updates, no alerts in the ad console, nothing. So I'm liking the new ad features. The thing that I'm like, again, kind of a little bit cynical about is the fact that they're changing things that affect our current account structures, which drives me crazy because I'm like, we had this set up, it was running, it was great. And now we kind of have to completely pivot on strategy. So that's probably a very long-winded answer, but hopefully informative for people who are not in the know.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned a lot of great stuff. Yeah, with these match types updates. I'm not don't have like big experience with Google Ads, but I'm pretty sure like in Google the exact is not 100% exact. So they are testing something similar. And if you think about it, like a lot of Amazon Ads features were taken from Google Ads.
Very true.
And actually another thing that a lot of people were going crazy about is like in your settings tab in the ads, there was some recent rollout when like the campaigns are spending 25% or even like 100% above the budget or something. I know I had to I saw it somewhere on LinkedIn, and then I went to check with some accounts, and some had it, some didn't, and some accounts had like the spike in spend above the our set budget for the day. So yeah.
Yeah.
And for the bulk files, yeah, you mentioned the update. It was definitely great. And I think it actually was about exactly a year ago. I
Yeah.
remember it
Seems about
was,
right.
yeah, somewhere in June or July, I was like learning the new format. So yeah, it's been about a year, and they've been rolling out a lot of updates for the bulk files, like added search terms report. I think
Oh,
really,
yes. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
really handy. And even they added this what's it called, like the assistance
Mhm.
where they pre-fill it for you. I don't really use it, but I guess it's really good for like someone who's new to the ads, or you can feel more comfortable if you have VAs, you can give it to them and they'll have all those pre-filled options. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a lot of stuff going on. So what's your take on brand analytics? I know it's not really new, but I'm surprised. Like, I talked to many people in the space, and I feel like still a lot of people they kind of neglect brand analytics, the search query performance, and it
Mm-mm.
also had some updates recently. So, how often do you use it? How do you implement it in your strategies?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first off, I want to say I do love brand analytics, and also the brand analytics tab inside of the ad console is very useful, like highly useful. I mean, it's aggregated at a category level. So if you have more than one product in a category, um, I love the search query performance, and there's been some really cool insights I've gained from other advertisers, as in like using it to track your own um share, like brand share of say your branded keywords. Actually, I think it's a great use case for it. So there's some insanely great use cases. And then also if you're trying to look at where to best put your ad dollars to be able to influence the organic ranking, that's a really great use case. I've also had some really smart colleagues who are tying, say, search query information into, say, like the search term impression share reports for the ads. There's all these like insanely crazy, awesome things you can do with it. That being said, the main issue of rolling out the search query performance dashboard, and why I think a lot of maybe advertisers or just brands in general have yet to fully embrace this, is due to the fact that it's not really scalable. And what do I mean by not scalable? Meaning it takes a heck of a lot of time and effort to download these reports, to parse together these reports. So whenever you're looking at someone with this insane dashboard that they're clicking through and they're like, oh, look at all these insights I can pull out from this, and this is super awesome. Um, Everyone looks at it, everybody loves it, and they think it's amazing. And then they go say, okay, I want to get this. And then they'll download it. And I'm not knocking these, like, don't get me wrong. Like, these dashboards, the amount of insights you can get from them is insane and bonkers and phenomenal. But I also do recognize that brands, very large brands who are looking at catalogs that are hundreds of products, let alone multi thousands of products deep, the amount of insights they get through these insane dashboards versus the amount of time it takes to fully manage these dashboards across a large catalog, let alone manage the dashboards and pull out the insights to take the actions that are actually needed off of the dashboards. That's why they're not doing it. So the minute that the search query dashboard gets released, or that information gets released in the API, I'm going to be the happiest person in the world. Because so the reason why I sympathize with these larger brands is, like, we ended up somewhere along the line signing like several clothing accounts. So we have a lot of products that have like very multidimensional listings. And so what I've found is a major pain point for those brands, is when you have something that has to be downloaded at an individual child ASIN level, the amount of information you can extract from that to actually take action in those accounts is like next to useless, if we're being honest. I mean, if I'm talking an account that has 100 child ASINs per parent listing. So this one ASIN's ranking here, and that's great, but I need to be able to see the entire data set. So that just makes it kind of difficult. Not that we don't use it, it's just, in full transparently, we haven't implemented it. I haven't force implemented it across every single product that we have under management. Again, just due to, like, that would be all we were doing in the accounts, is just trying to put together this information. And so what we've chosen to do is take a higher level approach and figure out, I'm huge about strategy in the form of priorities. So identifying which products or which piece of an account needs to have that higher level analysis done in it, and identifying the ones that is going to move the needle the quickest. So for instance, if we identify that and we recognize that, oh, us influencing better rankings here, we really need to do it in this one area, then we'll go and we'll take that like really deep, time intensive analysis. But that allows us to, again, kind of like strategically deploy our time instead of having to scale out those kind of systems across, thousands of products, let alone, hundreds of brands. And it just gets kind of, it's not that you couldn't have the man hours to do it, but my question is, results based, are the man hours going to be worth it? If it was at a parent ASIN level, I think yes. Seeing as that's a child ASIN level, no. So I've kind of left it up to the discretion of my account managers to do that deep analysis.
Yeah, for sure. It can be challenging. And like, even I think it's been less than half a year since we got the ability to even download those reports, because before you had to use like the third-party tools to scrape the data. And even speaking of analyzing all of it, like, I see people are coming up with different like sheets based like not softwares, but like analytic tools that you download the reports and then you feed it into the sheets and it kind of breaks you down the stuff. So yeah, it's definitely can be overlooked, neglected by some brands, but yeah, you can get great stuff from there. Yeah, check that share of the keywords, know where like kind of to target sniper at what keywords. That's
and
I think
the other thing that a lot of people miss in it is, I've seen a lot of confusion over it on the search query data, because they'll go and look at it and be like, oh, it says I only got this many orders, but like ads got even more, or like what in the world's going on? Two reasons for that. One is the attribution windows are different, and then two is that all of the data there is only what's contained in the search grid. So for instance, like, if you advertise a keyword, you can see data based on product pages. Well, that's the product page performance is not going to be factored into those numbers. So it is missing some data points. When it first came out, I don't know if it was. I have a feeling that Amazon realized that if they fully released all of it, one, it just must be difficult to calculate. But then two, if they ever really fully released what the full shopper experience was on a specific search query, you could technically fully backtrack Amazon's consumer traffic, which is not in their best interest to be fully transparent with that. So I don't think we'll ever fully see that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, great. Thanks for sharing. And another question I have. So what are your most like worked with Amazon ads reports, obviously, besides the bulk files? Because I think there are about a dozen different reports for each match type now. Some of them are useful, some of them are not really. So yeah, which ones you work with the most?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So I am continuously figuring out how can I get the most amount of insights for the least amount of input. That's where my brain's at. That's where my brain's always been at. So, when we originally started, I'm talking like combining 9 different reports to figure something out. With the new rollout of the bulk files, honestly, the amount of information I can squeeze out of a bulk file with the new format and a business report is kind of insane. And then on top of that, I would layer in search term reports on top of that. So I would say search term reports, if you know how to use a bulk file, that's going to give you almost all the information you need. Layer that with the business report. You can do some pretty insane things. Other than that, I mean, like, so advertise product reports is good. Purchase product reports. That tells you, because in Amazon it's like last click attributions, and then whatever product generated the click is going to one that's be attributed to the sale. So as people who manage, like, again, I said, like multi-dimensional listings, people are coming in through the black one, they're purchasing the red one, vice versa. We need to know that. So we do find that analysis to be very useful. Other very niche analysis that you can actually do is in relation to sponsored brand halo sales. So looking at the, I believe it's the purchase product report in sponsored brand ads. Now, this is going to be much more applicable to you if you are, say, if you're a reseller, or if you are, so like reseller or like a wholesaler or something, where there's other people that are maybe not necessarily selling your product. It's not like you're sharing a buy box, but they might be selling underneath the brand. So there's this thing called halo brand sales in Amazon. So if somebody is essentially selling under your brand, and they search a sponsored brand ad and then somehow through that shopper journey end up on a different product, but that product is still contained within that specific brand, then that purchase is going to be attributed back to, again, last click attribution, which is great in theory because it gives you really great insights into the shopper journey and allows you to see, like, hey, I'm growing additional brand sales. And also due to the fact that sponsored brand ads can be directed towards store pages, this is really beneficial. That being said, you could create an issue if you imagine if somebody else is selling underneath that brand name, and then Amazon saying, like, oh, look, you got a sale and your numbers look really great. But then if you technically calculated what was in the business report, you'd be like, wait, none of these sales were mine. I'm essentially like advertising for somebody else. So actually I kind of had a conversation with one of our brands that is in fact, so they're selling underneath their licensed products. And what we ended up doing is we calculated what we call like our true brand, sponsor brand A cost, meaning if we factored out all of the sales that were not for our brand, is it worth it for us to continue to run these ads? And what we found is for most brands, again, if you're the only one underneath your brand, you don't have to worry about this. But for some larger brands who are like selling licensed products, oftentimes it's pretty negligible, the amount of ad spend going to that. So it's either, your options are don't run sponsor brand ads or maybe run minimal sponsor brand ads. So what we find is that if we just use this analysis and we do, you can use the purchase product report and sponsor brand ads to kind of figure this out, because it'll list all of the purchase ASINs. So then you can cross-reference purchase ASINs with whatever ASINs are actually in your account. And that's kind of how you would look at it. So we just do this like periodically. It depends on the amount of spend that the brand has inside of sponsored brand ads. So that report, it's kind of like a one-off. Again, it might be use case, but that's been very beneficial. And there's really no other report that I'm aware of that you can like get those insights from. I'm trying to think. That's for the most of it. They did have some very interesting rollouts to the campaign reports, which before had been somewhat kind of useless. Those are campaign reports are ones that you can actually go back the furthest. Because the most reports are, what is it, like 16 and 90 days, something like that, or like campaign reports you can go back 2 years, which is kind of nice. Those ones we use not often. What is it, the other one that they released about like the removed like clicks or whatever,
gross and invalid traffic.
Yeah, the report that they rolled out, that's like everyone wants to know what they should do about it, and my answer is like, don't even bother. There's literally nothing to do with it. So there's some that, again, I think you can completely ignore. And then there's other ones. Search term reports are definitely going to be like top tier for analysis.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for sharing. For sure, like, yeah, the bulk files, business reports, search terms reports, it can like give you
Mhm.
most of the important information, probably like 80% of what you need, and you'll
Yeah.
get great results with just analyzing those. And then, yeah, you can dig deeper with the extra reports. We use them mostly like for data archiving. We
Mhm.
use third-party softwares usually to track products. And actually, yeah, like you earlier in my previous questions, you mentioned the product tab feature. That's what we mostly use, like third-party softwares to keep track of like product performance. And I feel like Amazon is kind of grabbing some of the best features from other
Mhm.
softwares, kind of trying to build this dashboard. So yeah, great, thanks. And another question is, what when you're taking over new accounts, what first of all are you looking for? Kind of maybe walk us through your analysis method and the most common mistakes you see in the accounts.
That's a great question. And actually, I had a question on, I think that goes back to like crafting custom ad strategies. I had a question on that. I actually like randomly decided, I woke up this morning and decided to release a video on how to make a custom ad strategy. So my answer is probably going to be built a little bit off that. But so for me, it starts with goals, really understanding what it is that Baron's looking for and understanding it 2 layers deeper than most people understand it. That's where you want to start. It's like, fun fact, if you want to be a good account manager, if you want to be a brand manager, whoever, you want to get the why of the why of the why, meaning, so you have someone come in and they'll say, okay, I need this ACOS number. Okay, why? And it's not like a jerk question, like, oh, why do you want that? No, it's like, oh, cool, okay. So you're trying to figure out, what are you actually trying to accomplish? Because most times what I find is that if brands come into us and said, oh, we need to add negative keywords, or we need to, we need to pause a bunch of stuff, what they're actually asking for is, I need to lower my ad spend because I'm unprofitable. That's a completely different question. Now, adding negatives and turning things off may or may not be the right answer. But that's what they deemed as the right answer. So you find most people will go to this is what I need to happen, and you need to take them 2 levels back to figure out, okay, so this is what you actually want. And then because I'm hopefully better at ads than you are, then I can help you figure out how ads fit into that. So for instance, like even, and when I say going levels deeper, saying, okay, so you need to be more profitable. Okay, why do you need to be more profitable? So for instance, I talked to a brand owner. He's like, oh, I need to hit this amount of profits because I want to bring my wife home and out of her day job by October, because we have a daughter. I'm like, okay, awesome. So when you tell me, hey, we really need to push like ad spend, because I need to drive sales, I'll say, like, wait a minute, does that, it's not just, oh yeah, we're going to give up on profitability a little bit, that's fine. It's like, no, it might take your wife 2 more months to come home. Is that fine or not? And it's a yes or no answer, but it allows me to give more context to my answers instead of just like, oh yeah, they'll give up a little bit on profits. That doesn't matter. To one guy, it matters a lot, and to somebody else, it doesn't matter at all. And if you can have that context, it makes you like so much better as far as advising what you should do. And then my question is, and this is why it's actually easier in some ways to manage large catalogs, is because you want to look at each product as a piece of a whole. So most brands will come in and they'll say, okay, these are my goals on profitability, these are my goals on sales, and then they'll start telling you, you need to push this product is new, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And again, they're telling you that context is very helpful, and oftentimes it's right, but we like to check it between, is it really right, or is this going to get them to said goals? Oftentimes what they'll do is they'll come in and say, you know what, these 5 products have not been moving at all. So therefore, I need you to completely push these products because we need to increase sales, right? So you'll go through and you'll push those products and you're like, look, we doubled the products. And the brand will be like, yeah, but our top line revenue didn't move like at all. And the reason why they did that is because they're looking at the bottom pieces of their catalog and they're going, okay, you need to push those. So my two absolute favorite things to do for this analysis is percentages of total. So I look at products together. It's so funny. I consulted with a brand and they have like these massive spreadsheets and all this stuff. And it sounds so simplistic when you hear it. And they're like, oh, we don't know how to push this brand forward. You know, like we're doing all this stuff and they're tracking all these keywords and they're trying to figure this stuff out. And I said, what if you just looked at the products together as a total performance and how each product is adding to the total performance? And then it's like, oh, and when I figured this out, I was like, oh my gosh, mind blown. It's so stupid simple, but like just do this. So you stack your products and you look at the total product sales and you say percentages of total sales. What percentage of total sales? The greater the percentage of total sales, the greater impact change on this product will have on your total account. So when I'm going to lower ad spend and I see a product that's making up 50% of the total sales, if I significantly lower ad spend on there, because most times people will go and be like, oh my gosh, this campaign is absolutely spending so much. I need to pull back the spend because this is my greatest spending campaign. But what they missed was that that was the campaign that was propping up the sales for the product that has 50% of the total sales. So they pull back on it and all of a sudden the sales go to crap and they're like, what the heck? And you're left scrambling. So if you can at least get a lay of the land first, then you know where to make the impact. So you're looking at percentage of total sales, and you're looking at percentages of total spent, meaning what product has the greatest impact on my ad spend and what product has the greatest impact on my ad sales. And then if you know those two things, you start to look at the performance. So if the brand says, my goal is to increase profitability because I have these X goals, great, okay. So I know what profitability is. You can translate that into total A costs and you say, okay, here's my total A cost goal. Great. All right, so now my question is, in total A costs, I need to reduce ad spend. That's all you can do with ads. You can fix product conversion rates. There's plenty of things to do outside of ads. When you're talking ads, my goal is to reduce ad spend. But because total A costs is ad spend divided by total sales, the thing that I'm looking to answer is, where can I decrease ad spend that has a huge impact on the total ad spend of the account and will not have as much impact to the top line total sales. So that's my goal. And then I look into the product catalog and I say, okay, the top product is actually doing well. It's hitting our total A cost goals. It's propping up, it's making a good chunk of my revenue. So instead of me going into to the base layer and saying, okay, I'm gonna just cut everything, that may or may not be the right thing to cut. But then maybe if I look deeper into the catalog and say, okay, well, number 2 and 3 products have high amounts of revenue, but they're bringing in, this one's bringing in 10% of my total sales and I'm spending 15% of my total spend on this. And then I look at performance, total A cost is way too high. And the ad sale percentage, meaning the percentage of my total sales that are coming, are being driven by ads, is significant. And I'm like, well, there's probably room to, either it has poor rankings, which is a possibility because ad sale percentage, or I might be overspending on this product. So if it has a high percentage of my total spend and that spend is inefficient, well, then it makes sense for me to dig into that product line and say, okay, what are the ads for this product line? And then what I want to do is we look at it, and I just did this today. You want your goal with strategy. Everyone talks about strategy is this weird, ambiguous. Strategy is simply setting priorities. So your question is, okay, where I have a priority in my product. Now I need to take a look at the ad structure, and my priorities are going to be, good strategy is setting priorities. The best strategy says, these are the priorities that's going to help me move the fastest towards set goals. So my priorities mostly for cutting ad spend is going so then the question is, which campaigns have the most inefficient ad spend? Where am I maybe overspending? Where am I maybe advertising too much? I look at bids first and I look at budgets first and negative keywords, because those things you can move fast on. So you try and figure out, okay, so goal is cutting ad spend. Here's where I cut ad spend. Then you say, where's the quickest place to cut ad spend? Looking at the account as pieces to a whole, and then allowing that insights to help you drill down to where you should make the changes. Because I did I think I did some video recording and I put it as an analysis. And I keep wanting to remake that video because it was like it's like version one. I told everyone who I shared it with, I was like, all right, this is super janky version one. But the insights are good. And it was like, look, like if you're looking at only a cost in the ad console, it's very easy for a product. Like there was one product in the analysis that, had like 100% A cost. I'm like, oh my God, am I saying like don't deal with something that has 100% any cost? Like, no. But what I'm saying is like that one product made up 0.02% of the total ad spend. So while you should definitely deal with it, you probably could let your bid adjustments or whatever general optimization systems you have take care of that. And then what you would do is when you're like I was talking about, like looking at search query reports and doing this all like really deep dive, hands-on, like strategic thinking, allow all that energy to be put towards where it's going to make the most impact instead of like running around trying to like fix all these things on the bottom level and be like, why is my revenue not growing?
Yeah. Thanks. Those were actually some really great insights. Something like people are not covering too often. People
Mm-hmm.
talking about bid optimization, match types, but yeah, like looking at the account, looking at the percentage of sales by product is, yeah, definitely something to keep in mind, and will put you on the upper level of
Mm-hmm.
Amazon
Yeah.
advertisers. So yeah, Elizabeth, I would love to have you for another one because we talked, I think, almost for 40 minutes, and I know it's a holiday for you. So yeah, I would just love to have another one. I have more questions. I'm sure you can provide some great insights. So just basically, yeah, I want to wrap up. I'll leave all the links to you, to the YouTube, to LinkedIn, so the people should definitely check it out for the tips on Amazon ads, some great
Yeah,
interviews.
absolutely. This is no, I would absolutely love to be back. This has been great. I told you, I'm like, I know I'm long-winded, so sorry I went 40 minutes. Hopefully you guys found value in
No,
it.
yeah, no,
But
it's
yeah, if
great.
you
It's
don't
great.
mind me plugging, so I am doing something right now. We'll see how long I can keep this rolling. But I intend to answer somebody's Amazon advertising question 5 days a week. So every single weekday, providing I get enough questions. So there's actually a link that's floating around, or maybe I can send it to you, of a form that you can use to submit a question. And if I think it's one that's going to be super valuable, I'll definitely. I think I'm up to like 7 questions answered at the moment. So
Okay, yeah, for sure. Send me a link and I can leave it below the video.
cool.
So yeah, I want to compliment you on the logo because I
Yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah.
I was watching a podcast. I don't remember if it was with the Ad Badger or someone. You had a piece of paper
Yes, the
on the
piece of
wall
paper. Oh goodness.
waiting for the sign. And I
Yeah.
actually that was one of my first jobs. I was working at the sign shop, so we were
Oh,
making
cool.
like these kind of signs, like smaller one and bigger ones. Like we made a lot of signs for I lived in Canada, so for a lot of like big retail stores
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
McDonald's, Walmart. So yeah, those kind of signs.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, well, thanks so much, Elizabeth. Definitely should have another one sometime. Thanks for the great insights. I'll drop all the links below, and have a great holiday.
Thanks. You too. I appreciate it.